Hello everybody, Hassan here, engineer, MBA, and investor. And in today's video, I want to talk about an article from ARK Invest. Ali Yerman, I want to talk about her article. I want to talk about what it is all about. It's basically talking about prime editors, talking about the lessons learned on base editors, and how we can project the future with prime editing. Before we do that, guys, before we even talk about that, you guys know the YouTube algorithms. You guys know what I'm going to ask. Do like this video, smash the like button, destroy that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. It's just quick, it's free, it's easy. It's just underneath this video. It's, again, really does help the channel. So this article was titled Predicting the Trajectory of Prime Editing Lessons from Base Editing, right? So let's take a look at it. Let's dive deep into it and let's see what we can learn, right? DNA-based editing, a technology emerged from Dr. Liu Labs at the Broad Institute, Harvard University, and Harvard Medical Institute, which was first introduced in 2016, has become widely used in academic life since science academy, and as well used by companies like Beam Therapeutics. ARK believes that if you review base editing trajectory, prime editing could follow a similar course, right? So now they're going a little bit in technical. Again, I'll link the article in the description there so that you guys can read it on your own. Highly advise you guys to read it. It does go specific. It does go technical with what's the difference between base editors and basically prime editors. But what's more important, that's what I wanted to cover in this video really. I wanted to make a quick video really. It wasn't meant to go into diving deep into both technologies. Is that you can see the number of publications, right? The number of publications, again, prime editing is so early still. That's what Dr. Liu's interview with ARK Invest 2 weeks ago talked about, how, we're still early with prime editing. There's hundreds and hundreds of publications of base editing in this past year alone compared to prime editing, which is obviously a lesser amount. And then there's, I think, 12,000 requests from academics to use base editing. So base editing is definitely further along the timeline than prime editing, right? So just as a reminder, guys, there's three type of technologies that we often talk about. There's that first quote unquote gen, CRISPR, that nuclease cut, DNA double-stranded cut, scissors analogy, right? And then there's the whole pencil analogy, that's the base editing. And then there's the whole word processing analogy, that's the prime editing. So base editing is definitely furthest along, right? That's pretty straightforward compared to prime editing, right? So prime editing papers, clearly you can see, it has been increasing, right? From 2019 to 2020, clearly you can see the number of editing prime editing papers that's drastically increased, right? And in 2021, you can see that number going even further. And if you even project that as a percentage, right, you can clearly see, right, the percentage of publication that include prime editing papers is definitely increasing, right? You can clearly see it 2019, 2020. And again, I think you as an investor, you're looking at data, you're like, well, Hassan, like what's the purpose of looking at publications, right? These are not companies, right? But the point of looking at publications is very important to study academics, right? I have my own, opinion on how academics are run. I think there are high barriers of entry. The costs are so high in most of academics around the world, specifically in North America. But there is some useful trends that you want to look at. For example, if you want to understand how a technology is doing, right, whether that's in genomics, genome editing, or could be even in a different vertical, for example, in energy, right, batteries, solar energies, and so on, you always want to take a look at how universities and research labs are using that technology, right? How many of them are using it? What's the trend looking like? Are they increasing over here? Is it sort of being a baseline, or could it be decreasing, right? And you want to sort of follow those trends, because you can sort of try to follow that and extrapolate that into the future and say, hey, this company is working on the same technology that many research labs and many academies, many academics are putting time and effort and resources to sort of expand on research on that, right? whether that's even studying on something like viral versus non-viral vectors deliveries, or it could be simple as that, right? But you want to follow those trends, right? This is exactly what this article really talks about, right? Because that's how Ali was able to extrapolate the future of prime editing, right? That's how she's able, along with her team at Ark Invest, to understand, knowing what base editors went through the past few years, what can we expect from prime editors, right? I think this is basically really what we can try to figure out just from the figures alone, right? You clearly see here Beam Therapeutics here, obviously a public company, basically in the whole base editing technology. You can clearly see in the first paper was published from Liu's lab in 2016. The company went IPO just before the pandemic, ironically, in 2020, right? So look at this, around 4 years, right? So if you use that concept, right? If you use that concept and you look at, the first paper from Liu's lab on prime editing is 2019, right? So again, 4 years for base editing from the moment the first paper was published all the way from a company IPOing and basically us as an investor being able to invest in them, Ark Invest being one of them, right? You can sort of expect the same type of behavior as well in prime editing, for example. 2019, first paper, are we looking at potential 2023, right, for prime medicine to go public? Now, take those numbers as a grain of salt, guys. You past results don't indicate future results, but you can definitely try to be able to sort of predict somewhat, a time range, right? To say that prime medicine will go IPO, in 2021 is sort of naive in some sense, right? It could be, you never know, there's a wave of genomics companies sort of going public at this point. Lots of opportunities for companies to raise funds through the public markets. So you never know, prime medicine could definitely go public within the next year. But knowing that detail, knowing what happened with Beam Therapeutics / base editing technology, I actually do agree with Ali here from Ark Invest. I do believe this could be in 2023, but given the space at which the space is developing in 2022 is conceivable, definitely is possible. Again, you should never bet against technology. You should never bet against companies that want to make things happen and execute. Just because Beam Therapeutics took 4 years to go IPO from the first paper published with base editing does not mean it will take 4 years for prime medicine. Could take even longer, right? Who knows? I mean, you never know. That's the whole point of, tracking these academic papers, tracking the results, tracking the data, tracking the space, looking at how other companies are doing, and looking at these types of articles from professionals such as Ali here from Ark Invest, sort of understand what's the landscape, right? This is what we try to do in our previous 3-part videos. If you guys haven't watched it, please do consider watching it, because those 3 videos sort of gave us a great landscape, including prime medicine as a company and Mammoth Biosciences of the CRISPR companies, right? Both public and private companies. And ultimately, you as an investor, you want to follow these trends. You want to look at how it's doing. I think this paper is amazing. This article here comparing base editing trajectory with a future projection that you could sort of extrapolate for prime medicine, specifically for prime editors technology. So we'll see how it goes. Interesting article. Let me know what you guys think about this article. I'll link this article in the description below. I'll end this video like this. As I said, I wanted to cover this article, really a short, brief video here. Like this video if you found value from it. If you haven't subscribed yet, guys, please consider subscribing. And by the way, I got this new laptop, so hopefully the graphics quality, the audio or whatnot for this video is much better. I think there's great things to come ahead for this channel, so do subscribe. Look out for the future videos. We are going all in with genomics, genome editing, CRISPR. We are going all in. We're going to make sure we cover these companies. We're going to make sure we cover that information for you for free, because that's the mission of this channel. Raise awareness for all investors to sort of level out the playing field. No longer we let big institutions run away with big victories. We can make the average citizen or the average quote-unquote pleb win in this competitive space. Can definitely happen as a community. That's the whole point of doing these types of video. Thank you for watching, guys, and we will see each other in the next video. Have a great day. Thank you.